you wanted to talk about with pre-shot routine or process at all, just because it was such a big part of our first one?
So that's great. And I know you teach the pre-shot routine's a big deal. And the reason you and I emphasize it so much is because I think it's kind of forgotten. I think people don't really work on the pre-shot routine because they don't appreciate really how important it is. So your pre-shot routine is a huge deal. The greatest example, and I put it in the book, it was Doug Sanders, 1970, the Open. He's going to win the Open. He's on the 18th hole. He's got about a 72nd hole at St. Andrews. Has about a 20-footer, and he had a routine that he went through. Now, he, like Nicklaus, stood over the ball a long time. So he's over the ball, ready to hit this 20-footer, and somebody in the gallery made a noise, so he stepped off and he started a whole routine over again, because your routine is your safe place. That's your safe house, and that's your familiarity. Under the gun, you've got to be in a familiar place, not in a completely, if you don't have a great disciplined pre-shot routine, then you're going to be flailing. You're going to be totally out there with no familiarity, and that's going to cause you to underperform. Anyway, he hits it down there to the famous 3-foot putt, and the 3-foot putt is the one that we all remember him missing. And over the 3-foot putt, he's done his routine. Everything's great. He's playing with Trevino. And if you ever watch the video, he is over the ball for probably 10 or 15 seconds, which is, he used to stand over at 18 seconds.
That's just so long.
I know it's a long time. He reaches down and he thinks he's got a loose impediment, and it's like a discolored piece of grass. So he breaks his routine, kneels down, sees that there isn't really anything. And instead of starting his routine over again, which he had just done a few minutes before on the 20-footer, right? He stays in posture for about 30 seconds. And now he's so extended, he's broken his routine. Anyway, and he hits a terrible putt, and it's hard to even watch that putt, and then forced a playoff, and he lost to Nicklaus the next day in a playoff. But I maintained that if he had a great pre-shot routine, but under the gun, he just kind of let it go and maybe didn't think much of it. So the pre-shot routine is a huge deal. It is your shelter in the storm. Golf is lonely. Golf is difficult, and your pre-shot routine is that thing that says you're going to be okay. It's kind of that friend who isn't there tapping you on your shoulder, say, "Hey, let's do our routine, just like we did on the first hole of this tournament 3 days ago. It's going to be fine." And so that's a huge deal. And it's easy to get sloppy because you want to hit the shot, but you've got to really establish a disciplined pre-shot routine. And if anything breaks it, like you're ready to go, pull the trigger, and there's a noise or a stray thought, you stop. And I think it was Miller Barber used to actually take the club and put it back in the bag to start his whole routine over again. And that's discipline.
Mm-hmm.
So I would tell your viewers and your listeners to establish a pre-shot routine. There's nothing magical about it. It really needs to be what you like, what's comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
But you want to, when you're ready to hit the ball, you don't want to stand over it too long. So the pre-shot routine, part of that is relaxation. Maybe you take some breaths, count some breaths, get ready. You might stand behind it. You might waggle once, whatever it is, it's individual to you, but repeat it every single time so that when you really, really need it, it's a familiar friend, not some new experience that you completely, lose your mind on.
Yeah, I had never watched that video you had referenced. And so after our first podcast, I pulled it up on YouTube, and I will tell everyone to tread carefully because it's hard to watch. And I did watch it, and it's like watching Chernobyl. It's like, oh no, like it was a tough one. And I remember you saying that haunted him. And I'm sure a lot of us have been there and had those kind of memories. So yeah, control what you can. I love what you said. It's shelter in the storm. Dr. Bob Bertelli always said your routine's your wingman out there on the course. So yeah, you got to have that. So I'm glad we were able to get a good recap